Welcome to Pokemon Go Fest podcast, episode 4. They've only done 4 of these. I don't know. I tried to do something fun. It didn't work out. But we do have a very special Pokemon Go Fest episode in the works for you right now. As you heard that beautiful lilting laughter, Joseph_R.
Yeah, it's been a good day. How are you doing? How are you since I've seen you a few days ago?
I'll be honest with you, man. I am still shooken. I have been shooken
You're
to
shooketh.
my core with this cheeky Nashville thing. Dude, we came off the last show and it's like, what's going on? I mean, we played it 3 times. We talked about it all weekend long.
Well, except when we were with Barry because he hadn't finished the episode.
Yep. I did mean to text. He was like, "Hey, make sure you listen to this on the plane." He listened to half of it, so we both really couldn't say anything. Then when Barry left, what was it, like 20 minutes after he left? This is like, oh, what? Cheeky, what? What is this? It was blown away. But I think it's gonna be a topic of discussion somewhat tonight. So we've got, so far we're doing a live call-in show. That's what makes this special. So yeah, we're gonna talk about our experiences as always. Maybe, I doubt it, maybe we're gonna have a few headlines, but we have opened this up to the Discord, which is our patron Discord, patreon.com/Pokemon Go Podcast. And did you want to unmute them one at a time, or are we got CoachKev and OwensThePrince sitting here?
It's up to you. I'm leaving that up to you, Mr. Moderator.
Well, I'll start with OwensThePrince right now, because if you remember back at Thanksgiving, right, we had a bunch of people call in, do things, and I'm sure I'm going to get this wrong, and he'll yell at me. But I want to say he said he's from Manchester or something like that. But he said he digs Charles. He loves the Charles. So I definitely going to go with the OwensThePrince who loves the Charles. Owen, how are you doing, man?
I'm fine, or I should say, hey, you guys!
How did you do that for like 2 years, man? You sang a rap song in that voice. What is going on?
Oh, I don't know. I literally, I've been listening for longer than 2 years. I've been listening for bloody hell, well before Brian left and stuff. But I don't know. I just called in with a stupid voice one day, and then you guys liked it, and then I couldn't stop doing it. Could I?
It was very much. You became a character on the show. When I say 2 years, I want to say you didn't call in until about maybe, I don't know how long he's been around. I mean, there was a shirt design I was talking to Joe about
That's crazy.
It was such a great character. And then at Thanksgiving, I'll go ahead and let me introduce us. So CoachKev is here, and CoachKev, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. And then Civilian on base popped in as well, and I'll pull you in so everybody can have their questions on this mind-blowing. But no, seriously, never knew. At Thanksgiving, you sent us something from Cheeky. You gave us a rap song from Cheeky, and then you sent something as yourself. Never knew.
I know. But by the way, I'm from Liverpool, not Manchester. That's like saying I don't know I don't know what two rival cities.
No, Manchester are united all the way. Get out of here.
They're just toxic. You can't say I'm from Manchester. That's insulting. The worst thing you could have said.
No, the worst thing I could have said is you're from actual Nashville.
Yeah, I'm from Nashville.
Oh man, I think back to one of the ones you sit in. You're like, "Hey, it's Cheeky. I'm whispering because my kid," and like you did the whole voice in a whisper.
Like, yeah, what? that was very difficult to do. It was because my girlfriend was in the house, and she basically the game's been getting to me, as you heard on the last voice note. So around that time is when I knew that it was coming to an end, so I didn't really want her to know I was still playing, if I'm being completely honest. But she knows she knows I'm doing this now. But I don't know. It had to come to an end with the type of lifestyle I was creating for myself. It was getting quite hard to maintain.
Sure. And I mean, you were saying on the recording that you're an all-in kind of person, and
I am. Yeah, I am.
This is a hard game to be all in on. CoachKev, how are you doing?
How you doing? How's everything?
Everything is good. Good. I had civilian unmuted, but they may have muted them. Looks like they muted themselves. Civilian. Yeah, there you go. Civilian.
Yeah, I got a fan on in the background, so I mute myself just in case.
Well,
got
I'm your biggest fan.
Do you do?
thank you.
Do you do voice work at all?
I used to be a YouTuber about 10 years ago. I don't know whether that makes any sense, but I had I think I've still got something like 40,000 subscribers. Like, but back when I used to be a YouTuber, yeah, about 10 years ago it was, and I was a partner and I'd done videos. And in Liverpool, I kind of I kind of done some kind of TV work in Liverpool and stuff. So maybe that's why, I don't know. But it's good to hear, Charles. Good to hear. I see what you're saying.
I mean, I don't know how long you can maintain. You maintain it long enough for a song. You do your minute and a half, your recordings on the speak pipe and whatnot. But I mean, Cheeky was a man into his own. You know,
Thank you very much.
It sounds like somebody do. I mean, even you talking now. I'm not talking about the voice, but the style, everything, how you carry yourself is. You could totally create that character. I mean, you could do something, and I'm like, it was.
Yeah, I'd love. I don't know what you could do with it, but I'd love to. By the way, if people are listening, it's 1 o'clock in the morning in the UK, and I've set my alarm to wake up, so I am a bit rusty with the cheeky voice.
Yeah, but that's dedication for you right there.
Yeah, it usually takes me a good little while to practice me vocal cords before I turn into a full cheeky. You know, he's a variant. If you watch the TV show Loki, he's my variant. So.
And just because I know it's late, now you're welcome to say as long as you want, but in case you get tired and need to go, I'm gonna go ahead and ask you about your experiences with the Go Fest.
Oh, I didn't even play Go Fest at all for the first time in years. I've played every one so far. Obviously not the.
Okay, so you knew you were putting games, so you didn't even buy the tickets.
No. I haven't I haven't logged into the game in about 7 weeks now because I was driving home from work one day and it just hit me because I was in the middle of moving out and I've got a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old and I just thought, you know what, this is too much and stuff. But it was very hard to do because, you know, the podcast, the game, the friends have made, it was very hard to do, but it's definitely better in the long run, but I definitely miss it. I don't even know what's going on at all, the new shinies, or if there's any new features. I don't know. Is there any new features?
Not features.
Not a ton, yeah, to be
Is
honest.
Kecleon on the game yet?
I'm going to tell you this because, you know, addicts have got to bring in other addicts back, and this piece of information is going to make you go, well, damn it, I'm back in the game. There's an EV community day coming up.
Oh, you're joking. You're joking.
Oh my god, no, I'm not joking.
Oh my god, has it got a hat?
It does not, according to this photo.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
It's got different moves this time though, which is pretty exciting. Nothing good, but
PvP. Yeah, it's good for PvP, I suppose. I used to be an avid PvP player when I was in it. So maybe that's good for the PvPers. Maybe Jack and K can give us a little insight on that.
Hey, so Samsung just gave me some free gifts, apparently. And let's see, we've got Popeye 705 popping in here. Hey, Popeye, how's it going?
Hey, pretty good. How are you guys?
Good. We're just starting to get to the experiences there. Now, I will say, Cheeky, or Owen, I wanted it to be Cheeky. You ever get bored and just want to use a cheeky voice and tell us about like everyday traffic in Manchester?
In Manchester.
Whatever you want, man.
Not Manchester, Liverpool.
Whatever. Everybody in England wants to say they're from Liverpool. You're not the Beatles. You're not.
Yeah.
You're just Chad.
Sometimes I'm just driving in my car and I'll just be, you know, singing a song and all of a sudden I can't control it. It just comes. It's like Jim Carrey in The Mask. You know, it just comes out and I can't stop it.
I like it. Real Madam Stan subscribed with Prime. Thank you for that. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Madam Stan. Thank you.
All right, so Joe, we met some cool people at Pokemon Go Fest this week. Now it was different. Joe, let me just tell you, Joe was so disappointed in MrTamborine. 19. No, in the festival itself. So we're going to talk about the
Yeah.
digital aspect of it. But we did go to Atlanta, and we're going to play in the big park. Apparently, the city closed the big park down without bothering to check with us because they don't even recognize who I am, and that's not cool. But a few blocks away was the park that Niantic had its experience in. And I told Joe not to hold his breath or get his hopes up, and he apparently held his breath and got his hopes up. Because Joe,
Well,
tell him what you thought of the full experience of Niantic in the park.
yeah, I had low expectations and they went lower. So, uh, at the park, they had a little information tent where they were handing out Pikachu hats, which have been at GoFest forever since GoFest was
It's the very
started.
first one. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and then they were handing out fans that were looking for and what you're trading, which again they've been handing out forever. The only thing new was that they had little postcards that were
Postcards.
specific for this Go Fest, which is nice. And then they had some cutouts of the team leaders and Professor Willow, and that was
Great pictures with, yeah.
literally it.
And I thought the cutouts were cool. And you hear the tone of Joe's voice. He did not have low expectations. He was hoping for swag. He was wanting to
No,
hope for a booth that sold stuff. I'm like, he wanted all this.
I-
I'm like, Joe, it's just a pop up.
no. I was hoping for a little small merch tent. That really, that's all I was hoping for. So,
You know what? None of us was hoping for the smell that was coming out of those porta potties.
oh, so
boy.
bad.
Yeah, it was not a pleasant spell in that corner. But we did get to meet MrTamborine 19 and his son Cullen. Oh, there he is. Speaks pop up. MrTamborine pops up right there, which is always
Was
fun. When you're walking
Charles?
Yes.
Was Mr. Tambourine a gentleman? Was he a real gentleman?
I wouldn't. I mean, he's from Alabama, so he's a gentleman. If you think that he come from, Bama.
He's basically Southern royalty. Just saying.
He was-
Alabama ain't no Nashville.
That's true. It is always fun when somebody makes a straight beeline for you. You know they're coming to intercept you, and he's like, "Hello, gentlemen. You know me as MrTamborine 19." And then I lost everything else he said. I'm sure he gave us his real name, and so I don't. I like, nope, that's who you are. You're MrTamborine 19 the whole time.
And he had
And-
Junior Tambourine with him.
Yeah, Cullen was there, and Sir Manda. We met up with her later. Of course, Barry came in for the weekend. It was a lot of fun, and we'll get back to some of our own experiences. Popeye, you're the last one in here. What was some of your experiences with the Go Fest?
I caught 31 shinies the first day.
And I thought I had good luck.
And then the second day, in the section of the park we were at, there's about 6 gyms within 100, 200 feet. So
Nice.
we basically just walked back and forth between the gyms nonstop for about 4 hours with lucky eggs. Grabbed about like 3 million XP.
Wow.
Wow, that was really good.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, what about you, Civilian?
Unfortunately, I was not able to play. I was on vacation and didn't feel like giving Niantic any money because they didn't put much effort into it this year, honestly.
Preach.
Interesting. I came out with 0 shinies. Joe is showing off how many shinies there.
11, all from the first day, and then the second day I got 0 shinies, and
We'll get to that. We'll get
uh,
to that. Just like with your disappointment in the tent, I just like Cheeky Nashville, I too play a bit of a character on the show because I showed up both Joe Ard and Barry Falk, but we'll get to that one.
combined.
Coach Kev, what was your take on everything?
I had a good time doing Go Fest. I put more emphasis on the shinies that I needed than just getting a quantity, because I'm a shiny collector. That's my main focus in the game. I try to get all the different shinies. Like once I have the shiny, I usually don't click on that Pokemon again, in fear of getting like duplicates that I don't need. So I think I added about 8 or 9 new shinies to my shiny decks. In
Nice.
total. There
Such a
was a
great
few,
voice.
the few that I didn't get that I really wanted was I needed an unknown, and I wanted the one regional, the blue guy, not the throw, the other, the Sork,
Sock, yeah.
because I figured, I'm hoping maybe they'll rotate regions at some point like they did last year with the Heatmore and Durant. So that those two were my disappointments. I've had very bad luck with the unknown. Hopefully, in this event that's coming up tomorrow, I have better luck because unknown shiny is going to be in 1-star raids. Possible shiny, the U, I
Well,
think,
can
the
I just
letter
say
U.
you've got one of the coolest voices I've ever heard in my entire life.
Well, same goes to you.
You come to me in the day of my daughter's wedding.
Yeah.
Uh,
You asked me to catch a shiny on the day of my daughter's wedding. That I cannot.
I love it. That's great.
uh,
That I cannot do.
I'll tell you, I was enjoying it. I got the gotcha evolution, right? So during the last show we recorded, uh, was it you, Savannah? Who was telling me I needed to get the gotcha evolution?
It was not me. I think it's worthless.
Who was it?
Bloody hell.
It
Who
was
was
somebody in
G1 for
chat
your
last
life.
week.
I don't remember. I don't remember who it was. Who was it that wanted the Slurpee Pop Funkos?
Was it Popeye?
No, it wasn't me.
No, I have to go back and look. Because whoever it is, I need let's hit me on Twitter or something so that I can work out the Pop Funkos for you. Anyway, whoever's like, oh, you got to get it, you got to get it. I'm like, fine. I looked at it. It spoke to me. I ordered it from Best Buy, and it was during the show, so it's after hours, right? The store had already closed, but they used a car delivery service called Road, which I actually drove for a very brief time when they first started up in Atlanta years and years ago, and yeah, it was here by like 9 o'clock the next morning, and I charged it, and it did good for me. It caught some stuff. Um, I got all of the shadows I saw, which there was new stuff. Arduino I hadn't gotten yet. Chatot, um, all those things. So Joe and I and actually we did another walkabout when MrTamborine and his kids showed up. We walked a couple blocks away, did a couple raids, couple fights. Joe, what was your favorite catch of the weekend?
Ooh, that is a tough one. I know I caught a 100% legendary, but it was on Barry's phone. So, uh, there was that. But I don't know. It's got to be one of the shinies I picked up. Um, it's I I think it's the Tangela. I really like that bright green, although the Meryl has a pretty sweet green too, but its evolution does not maintain that green. Although there's a lot of people that like the yellow, but I think I'm going to leave my Meryl how it is because I really like that green. So, what about you? What was your favorite?
Oh no, I'm gonna make him wait for that.
Ooh.
Now I like to get, of course, all the new stuff. I got a few socks. I got the Duino. Basically everything that I saw on the first day, everything that I saw I needed, I got. Now on the second day, I think it's when you, Barry, and I were at Mellow Mushroom eating lunch, or is either then or is that the parking deck? I can't remember, but there was three shadows that popped up. Like, so the event's over. I mean, we're at the bar at the Hilton at um 6 o'clock. So it was after 6 or something like that. Anyway, the event was over, and these three shadows popped up, and I just didn't have it in me to go walking blocks to try to find them. I was just exhausted at that point, didn't really care as much, so I didn't get those. But I'll go to everybody here. We'll go around the clock. Coach Kev, what was your fave?
My favorite catch, I really didn't have one. I just enjoyed the time. I My favorite part of the game is the company, the community part of it. Getting out of the house, doing something. I have more fun like afterwards. We go out for a beer or something with my friends,
Yeah.
and that's the best part of the game. A lot of people put to the side. They always think it's about catch this, catch that, catch this, but there's a lot of people forget about the psychological aspect of the game and like the therapy part of the game. And
Yeah.
a lot of people play this game for different reasons. I've met so many people in my experience with playing this game that have different issues that they share with me that this game helps them with. You know, like some are recovering drug addicts. Some have other issues like depression, this and that, and nobody ever really talks about that. How much this game helps with that, you know? And that's my favorite part. The favorite catch is the new friends that I caught just
Nice.
out there in the community, you know?
Gotta catch them all. Was talking about the friends all along.
Yeah, man. That's now Dooley's saying there, Joe, that he was barely hearing the voice, but I don't know. Everybody else seems to be fine with that. Man, Coach Go, I'm so glad you brought that up because we do tend to forget that. I mean, even here, where obviously we met somebody new at the Hilton. So I was at the Dragon Con meeting that didn't end really almost 6 o'clock on Sunday evening, and that was at the Hilton in Atlanta. And so Joe and Barry did some stuff without me, and then they came in and met up with me, and then we went to the bar and got some beers and some hangout time. And um, we met somebody new there, and they were asking us about the game. And even then, when we were talking about it, we didn't get into the real relationships, which is why we do it. I mean, this show, they're like, well, what's your show about? It's like, well, it's about the experience of Pokemon Go, right? It's
Mhm.
about I mean, if I sum up the description of this show, it's I try to make Joe laugh, and then I try to learn something about the game and its community. It's if it weren't for those you hear live, right? You that are here in the call, then you there on this Twitch stream, and then of course those who podcast or listen to the podcast and email us and those kind of things. There's been plenty of times like, this game's not worth it for me. This is the community that I have, and for you to talk about recovering drug addicts and people with anxiety, and we saw those stories early on, didn't we? We saw all that going on, where there's so much more to this game about the health and benefits of it than just catching them all. Because I'm with you, man. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, obviously it is that kind of game. That's what I'm asking. What's your favorite catch? Because there are cool favorite catches, but yeah, I love that
Yeah,
catch.
no, it started out with me doing something with my son. I never even watched an episode of Pokemon to be honest with you. And he told me about this game and I was making fun of him for it and everything. But then it bonded me and my son for a few months because he loved it. I was driving him around and this and that. Then he quit playing, but I couldn't quit because all the new friends I was making and stuff and the communities like I helped build a Discord in my town to like over 1,000 people and this and that, and like just meeting people and traveling. I went to the Japan Go Fest. I went to Montreal. I went to Chicago. I had tickets booked for Liverpool until COVID came. You know,
Ooh.
that all got canceled. But fortunately, I got all my money back. They refunded me with no issues, but I had everything booked, you know. So if they do a redo in Liverpool, I'll be there, cheeky. I'll
Yeah,
come look you up.
I'll come and see you. Definitely, I'll come
Yeah,
and see you.
I'm
Uh,
calling you cheeky. I don't care what you say. Yeah.
That's funny.
And if you don't like it, you'll sleep with the fishes, all right?
Oh.
Hey, Mickey, and I'm from Liverpool.
I'm sleeping with the fishes.
But
Coming
yeah,
up.
I don't know. I ramble too much. I'll shut up now. Let somebody else
No,
talk.
no, 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 no. I loved
Yeah,
hearing that. That was great. That was great to hear.
when I
Yeah.
get into certain things, like I always wish like if somebody would do if I had like the podcast voice and this and that, I would look into it, but I don't have the knowledge. But I definitely think a Pokemon Go podcast for just talking to people about why they play
Yeah.
would be so good. Not just what's the next event, what's this, what's that.
Gotcha.
Like as far as the like, what's the new update in the game? No, I want to hear stories from people that play the
That
game and why they
that could
play
be
why they
a
play the game.
that could be
Yeah.
a spin off from your other show, Charles, where you interview people. That could be something you could do.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Finding the stories at
Yeah.
anchor.f/finding the stories.
Me per
Uh,
me per me personally, the reason I needed the game after my son quit playing was I went through marriage problems. You know, and it helped me get through that psychologically, going through a real bad marriage and having problems with my wife and everything. And it got me out of the house and it got my mind instead of sitting in a bar and drinking or this and that and turning into maybe an alcoholic or something. I play Pokemon. I drive around with friends and that's it.
you're
You
now
know?
a Pokeholic and not an alcoholic.
Yeah. Yes. It's definitely an addiction. We all know it's an addiction. but it's not an addiction that's going to kill you, health wise.
Yeah.
You know.
Although it might lose your girlfriend if you're Owen and Cheeky all in one person. I
No,
do wonder. Cheeky, does Cheeky have his own account and Owen has his own account? Do you play two different counts?
well, I was that obsessed with the game. I had multiple accounts, which I know is breaking the terms of service, but I don't care because I don't play anymore. But my cheeky Nashville account was level 40 a long time ago, and then my OwensThePrince account's level 50. I actually had Joe as a friend on OwensThePrince for a very long time. Do you know that, Joe?
Yeah, yes, because you showed up to the Twitch stream first, and I added you there.
Yeah, it was a long time before I added you as cheeky as well. But yeah, I had two accounts going, so I think you can see where the problem started.
That somebody's living back. Fix it, Joe.
That's Dooley, I think, that's coming in. We can hear the stream.
Yeah. Get some headphones. All right. Well, let's. You know what? That is a great suggestion, Coach Kev. And I was just thinking, even as you're talking about it, about talking to people why they play, that is an easy way to promote the podcast. So here's a little story I'll tell before we go and ask the question. Is we're sitting in the park. Joe and I basically commandeered a corner by the fountain. We just ended up standing there when we first started. I like water. I just kind of gravitate towards it anyway. It's not a Chicago-sized fountain, but a nice-sized fountain. And it was just a nice corner with shade. And we ended up, after we'd walk around a bit, we'd always end up there. And some other people, because there's a wall to sit on and whatnot, and other people were sitting there. And Joe was talking about, oh, man, I just got to this part of the quest where I have to do another lure and or an incense. I have to do another incense, and I've already done one. And he was just talking out loud, wasn't thinking about it. And a stranger is like, well, they stack. And then we didn't quite hear what he said. It's like, what'd you say? He goes, oh, they both stack. He was, oh, that's right. And me being me, I was like, Joe, how do you even call yourself a podcast host? You don't even know the basics. And of course, Joe's laughing. The MrTamborine's laughing. The stranger's laughing. And within 30 seconds, some older gentleman came up and went, excuse me, are you making fun of him for being new? And it was, so fast that we were still laughing about the joke. We're like, no, man, no. We do a podcast together about this game, and we've done it for, I said 4 years. So then Joe got me for not knowing how many years we've done the show. But he's like, we've done it for so long. I was just kind of giving him grief because that's what we do on the show. And then Mr. Social Justice Warrior there was like, oh, okay. And he walked away. And I was like, you don't want to know what show we did? And, it's I've always struggled with promoting the show, but I think going up to somebody with a little course, hey, we're with Pokemon GO Podcast. Can I ask you the question? And then let them say yes, and we'll hit record. And so the question is coming now to Civilian. Why do you play, Civilian?
Very similar reasons. It's mostly the community. I actually run and created the Facebook page, the Discord, and this is controversial, but the scanner for the area that I live in. And yeah, it's mostly the community. There's this lady in my community, nicest lady ever. She actually plays on 3 phones at once now, but she's about 70, and we call her the Poke Grandma. One of the greatest ladies ever. One of my best friends.
Nice. MrTamborine 19 says my son called it Pokemon Go Exposed, which that's another story, right? So he needed something. I wanted to do a trade, and he was going to trade with me. He goes, well, what do you want? It's like, I don't know. I've got some shadows, but it takes a while. I think his account was not quite what mine was. I think he's newer to the game, or he's not. I forget what it was, but it wasn't like he had 50,000. Like Joe. Joe's got like everything. And so he goes, here's a title for your show. Screw you, you're getting Bidoof. And that's all he traded all day. Everybody who traded with him, they got a Bidoof from him. It was great.
I still want a show named after me.
I tried, CoachKev. I tried.
I want a show named after me as well.
Well, you've had him.
You've probably had him already.
Probably. But hey, I'm gonna have to go in a second, guys, because I need to go back to bed.
Yeah, man. Well, okay. You'll be the hero that died on the show for many years to come with that phone call from last week. And truly, man, it's always a pleasure. And anytime you just want to do a Owen bit or a cheeky bit, feel free to use that speak pipe, and we'll
Oh,
play it.
definitely. I'll still pop in now and again. And if you ever want to get me back on the show, just to talk, then you've got me on Twitter. So just message me.
That worked out great. Cool.
Yeah,
Sleep
but
well.
it's been great, you guys. Next time I'm in the States, we can go for a Cinnabon and we can go for a coffee. Wait there. I see the ducks flying over the highway.
That was such a man, go. But next time I'm going to ask you about that ducks over the highway moment. That was so crazy.
That was funny, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was so random. It was so
I know.
good.
I just tried to use me the stuff that I seen in my real life and put it into Cheeky's life, because Cheeky lives such a great life, and I'm trying to live myself through Cheeky, if I'm being honest. But anyway, I did love the show, and it wasn't a lie. Everything I said was the truth. I do still crave the Joe. As much as that might scare you, Joe, I don't know whether it scared you, but I do crave the Joe, and I want the Joe on my cinnamon roll.
All right. And Owen, thank you very much.
No problem. Have a nice night, guys.
You too. Have a good one.
Good
All right.
night, my friend.
Dooley noted got in. And Dooley, why do you play the game?
Why do I play the game? Doesn't everybody play? Oh, you mean Pokemon Go? Okay, I thought you were talking about the game. You know about the game, right?
The movie?
Everybody's playing the game.
Now you're scaring me more than Cheeky scares Joe.
That's a little creepy.
I got into it because I've always been into Pokemon. Actually, I got into Pokemon from the 3DS games from XY, and I was hooked, and I've been playing it ever since. So obviously, real excited when they announced, "Ooh, we're gonna have a mobile version." Like, cool, Pokemon the real world, and here we are 5 years later, and I haven't stopped. I haven't looked back.
Nice. So how was your experience with Go Fest? You're on the West Coast, right?
I'm in California, yes, and my experience was actually pretty good. When I first started playing Pokemon Go, I lived up in the valley, so there was this area. It's called the Great Wall of Los Angeles. It's along the cement Los Angeles River. Actually, it's the one of the basins. Anyway, it's the long block between two major streets, and there's a big mural that goes across the whole thing. So there are Pokestops. There's about 13 or 14 Pokestops along this long walk. And then so people do it in a kind of a loop. You go up there and on the other, then walk across down the street and across the other side of the river, and walk to the next street and just kind of circling around there. 13, 14, I don't know how many. There's a lot of Pokestops there, and gyms. So I decided I'd moved out of there, and I haven't been up there in a while. I've been going to another place out in Culver City, which is another strip of road that has a ton of stops because there's a movie. There are these like memorial stands from each different Hollywood movies because this is Culver City. So
Right.
each one of those is a stop. So that's pretty cool. But I decided to go back up to North Hollywood, and it was so cool because I started bumping into people that I used to play with that I haven't seen in years. So that was a lot of fun. And yeah, I had a lot of fun, a lot of good catches, a few shinies. Probably I got here late, so you probably saw them already because I already posted them up in the experiences of the week. But yeah, it was a good, fun day with a lot of exercise.
Good. I like to hear that. MrTamborine, you can regale all of us with how honored you were to be in our presence for the first time.
Charles is a little puffed up on himself.
Yeah.
So, well, he said something, and then he unmuted himself. So I don't know what happened. I'll go to Popeye. Popeye 705. What was your experience?
What was that?
What was your Go Fest experience?
I already said I got the 31 shinies, and
That's right.
Okay, so
So
let me-
many
I
shinies.
did get But on the second day, while I was raiding, I had my gotcha going. I did catch a shiny Unknown F though,
Oh, nice.
so that was a nice
Nice.
surprise when I went and looked.
Oh, that
Yeah,
is good.
a lot of people were saying that no one around them was getting unknown shinies, so
They seem to be
that's
a lot
stellar.
more rare than last year.
Well,
I've done hundreds of them.
and unknown
Not-
in general just seemed not to spawn near as much this year as in previous Go
Mhm.
Fests. So
The Coach Kev, did you say you found hundreds?
No, no.
of unknown-
When since Unknown Shiny's been released, when they were in raids that first time,
Uh-huh.
I did about over 200 raids. I did about 250 raids, and I didn't get a shiny.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yep.
No, I got you. So you and Papa, you're right. You did talk about your experience. So why do you play the game?
Well, I pretty much grew up with Pokemon. I played Red and Blue when I was 12 years old. Bought a Game Boy, or I got a Game Boy for my birthday, and then when Pokemon, and I watched the anime, first few seasons of the anime, and then when the game came out, Pokemon Go, it started out as a family game. Everyone in my family was playing. Me and my wife still play. And then again, as everyone else has mentioned, building that community that we have, made some great friends that, we talk and raid and play every day with. And it was always fun before COVID hit, always meeting everyone up at raids at a specific time and taking that down. And unfortunately, now it's all remote and everyone's asking for invites now.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. And I know this was definitely different than going to Chicago because in Chicago we'd have met up, and that's something that as Joe and I talked through the weekends. Like, no, I do like the hybrid, and I've talked about how easy it would be for me to have the Atlanta one, and this was easy. I mean, Joe drove down, he stayed with me. We drove into the city both days, easy peasy. But I like the idea of them doing a real world in one place. Not a couple places, right? And at first I was like that. Yeah, you make it where everybody can go. But here's where I see the value in Chicago is it's once a year, and those who can will go. And for me, that's why I play the game is not only do I get to go and hang out with Barry and Joe, which obviously Barry will go anywhere we are in the world, which is cool. But I get to meet some of the people. Thunder Muffin, I met there a couple years in a row at Chicago Go Fest. Salt and Nar and the other podcast hosts that show up out there. The Real Terry Wolf, not Zach Man, that's somebody else. Zukari. So I get where when it's a one-time event a year, while we get all the cool stuff, I like the digital. I like getting all the cool stuff and be able to get it how I wanted to get it. Knowing that people are going to show up there is really, really great. So Joe, I've got this audio from Dennis, and I thought I'd play that, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more about our raid day experiences.
okay.
But hopefully this won't be too loud, and everybody should be able to hear this just fine.
Hello, everybody. It's Dennis, the world's most okayest DM, here yet again for a little bit of Pokemon Go talk. And, obviously the big news from this past weekend would be Go Fest. So I thought I'd give a little bit of my experience as far as Go Fest goes. The first day was sort of a mixed bag. I did get quite a few shinies that I did not have before, and I'll get into the list of the stuff that I got. But I was kind of disappointed with day 2. I did manage to get all the legendaries, during that day that I did not have before. But unfortunately, I didn't get. Maybe I got one usable legendary the entire day. I mean, it was cool that it was 20,000 experience per raid, and with a lucky egg, it was 40,000 experience per raid. And we were sort of in the same little spot back and forth, but we had a lot of really terrible spawns. Like, for instance, during Ice Hour, we had a lineup of, I would say, 9 gyms that we could easily walk to, and 6 of the 9 of them were Regice, and the rest were Articuno, which none of us wanted. So it was like, this event's cool and all, but it kind of stinks when you just roll bad dice and you get stuck with a bunch of junk. It would have been nice also, legendaries, but I was trying to do as many raids as I could for the experience, but also for the candy, the XL candy, stuff like that. But for day one, I walked, I think the total over the weekend, I walked about 35 kilometers. But for day one, so it started off weird because the first thing that I caught was a shiny Alomamola. I'm probably saying that wrong. But that's the first thing I caught. And then throughout the day, I got a shiny Slowcoth, which I had before, Krogunk, which I didn't, 2 Hippopotas, which I did, a Swablu, which I did because we just had the community day, Sock, which I didn't have, obviously, Timpole, which I didn't have, Whalmer, which I didn't have, a Roggenrola, which I didn't have, a Whismer, which I didn't have. The weirdest thing was I got 3 shiny Tangalas, but I got them back to back to back to back. Like literally clicked on a Tangela, it was shiny, clicked on the next Tangela, it was shiny, clicked on the next Tangela, it was shiny. So that was pretty crazy. But I already had that shiny twice. Aeron, which I didn't have before, shiny. Larvitar, which I did from the community day, and then Growlithe, which I didn't have, so that was pretty cool too. Speaking of Larvitar, so that reminds me of the other thing that sort of disappointed me about the event. So as I talked about, keep an eye out for if you have your lures going, you can get some really cool Pokemon. I didn't see hardly any throughout the day. I had 2 Gyarados spawn, I had Flareon spawn, and that was it as far as like special spawns go. Other than that, it was just the same old within that group. I did what I wanted most was, Umbreon or Larvitar or Tyranitar. I did get a Tyranitar to spawn at the very end of the day, except it spawned on top of another Pokemon, so I couldn't ever click on it, and they only stuck around for like 15, 20 seconds. So, yep, missed that one. And then on the second day, I was doing the gacha while I was raiding, and the gacha would go off before the Pokemon would pop up on my phone. And it was a Tyranitar, and it ran away before I could click on it because I hit the gotcha. So I was a sad panda. I will say for the second day, I did also get a shiny Scyther and another shiny Roggenrola. I didn't care about the Roggenrola at that point, obviously, but the Scyther I didn't have before, so that was pretty cool. So overall, it was an all right Go Fest. There was a couple things I wish would have been a little bit better, but it is what it is. Still had fun hanging out with people, taking a very, very, very long walk. I was exhausted after both days. I just died. And I also ate so much unhealthy food right afterwards because I didn't eat all day. I was smart enough to take a backpack with some water bottles and my phone charger in there, so I didn't have to worry about that. And it was
good.
The second day was definitely much nicer for us because it was overcast and not quite so ridiculously hot, but it was still, pretty outside. I will say the only other thing update-wise is I started getting back into PvP, and I immediately regret my decisions. I feel like from last season to this season, they've nerfed quite a few things. Last season, 3 wins in PvP will get you access to Pokemon of a certain variety. And I used to get legendary Pokemon all the time. That's why I was doing PvP, to get legendary Pokemon. Now I could do 5 runs and get no legendary Pokemon for like 4 days in a row. On top of that, you get Pokemon that are absolute garbage. There's a fighting type Pokemon, which I can't even remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it's literally one of the worst Pokemon in the game. Why is it in there? And why is it something that I can get as a reward at level 20 for winning 3 fights? Like, have that crap be an early level thing, and then once you get past that level, you never get it again. That'd be better. But also the reason I'm not having fun with PvP is, A, it's Great League, so it's just a Zoomerl, and the Zoomerl doesn't really have any great counters, because most great counters to a Zoomerl will also kill, so if he has shield advantage, he wins. So, kind of sucks. But the other thing is, the game's kind of just broken. Most people who play PvP regularly enough notice that the lag is just out of this world sometimes, to the point where the game is unplayable. And I've had times where I'm counting moves because I'm trying to get better at that, and it'll be a mirror match of the same Pokemon, and he'll do his special move after 3 attacks to me where it takes 5 attacks, so he'll get to spam it. So yeah, so it's getting to the point where, it's super time consuming to do the PvP, and the rewards just aren't really worth it. I got 60-ish
I thought you did it for the
TMs,
dust, Dennis.
and I was trying to get that Mewtwo candy, but if nothing, if it takes all that time and I don't get anything good in the end, it's kind of a letdown. So I might just go back to forfeiting 5 times in a row, which takes all of 15 minutes for 5 rounds, and getting my, dust and calling it a day. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully, something pops up to stir things up. Speaking of which, the community day, the next one was announced, and it's going to be Eevee.
Oh, just stop.
Now, we've already had Eevee as a community day, but it does allow us to get some more shinies because, we've probably burned through all of them. But the Eevees also get special moves that they wouldn't know otherwise. So that might make things pretty interesting for PvP. I mean, the one I was looking at obviously was Umbreon because he's a monster in PvP. But giving him a psychic move and a dark move, that's pretty good, considering he's kind of weak to fighting, so he would then be able to counter fighting. Anywho's, that's all I have for you today. If you want to check me out on anything, Botched a D&D podcast on all your podcatchers. Also, social media, World's Most Okayest DM, except for Twitter, which is World's Okayest DM. And you can also check me out at patreon.com/Hivehead Studios, where I do all kinds of comic booky stuff. Charles has actually been coming on there recently to do sort of like an interview-esque podcast for, that. I just have to get around to releasing it in a few minutes probably. And then lastly, my comic book, Lycan Solomon's Odyssey. The Kickstarter launches on September 3rd during DragonCon. It's going to be a crazy, crazy time. If you come to DragonCon and you back the project, you will get an exclusive sticker that I'm only giving out at DragonCon. So come and find me. I'll be on 1,000 panels or something like that at DragonCon, and show me that you've backed the project, and I'll give you a sticker and probably take a picture with you too. Just because I'm going to put it in my Instagram and all that jazz. Anywho's, if you'd like a reminder in the meantime, tiny.cc/Lycan, as in lycanthrope, comic. Anywho's, back to the show. Take care. Have a great day.
What's funny about that is I went on and because part of the Patreon is he's putting in audio updates and this and that, and he was talking to me about how he kind of ran out of stuff to talk about and what to do. I'm like, well, as an executive producer, I'm done willing to get in there and help you make content and this and that and the other. So we got to talking about it, and it came out, and I'm going to say it here because I need everybody to make it a thing. His book is called Lycan Solomon's Odyssey. So I told him we had to name the Patreon specific audio Lycan Subscribe, a book behind the book. And he hated it. So yeah, it's what it is. All right. I know people are popping in and out trying to get their stuff fixed. That's cool. All right. I'm gonna tell you the thing I've been holding off. Now, day 2 was easier for us. Barry actually flew in and he already was driving around. So he came out to well, US Nate Scout, you're gonna have to listen to the podcast. US Nate Scout said, just got home. What I miss? There was some very interesting things at the very beginning of this call-in show. So you'll have to get the podcast to check that out. But Barry got to us right about the time the raids kicked off. And so Joe and I are sitting in my house. And Coach Kev, you're talking about how you do it with friends and go out afterwards and this and that and the other. That's very much what Joe and I did. We went out on Saturday, met with everybody, had a good lunch with MrTamborine 19, his kid, and Sir Manda. And then we're like, all right, well, we kind of finished up the day. We went on back to my house, and we ended up watching Future War on Amazon Prime together. Joe and I did.
Good movie. Good movie.
Then we went to Dairy Queen and got some ice cream. We're going steady now.
Yep. And then
I was gonna say, sounds like a good date night.
Right?
Netflix, ice cream.
What are you gonna say, Joe?
In hindsight, with the second day, if I wanted to maximize it, what I should have done is I should have turned on Pokemon Go as soon as I woke up, because I didn't even think. I'm like, oh, it's 10 to 6 for us here, but I could have been invited to
Invited to raids.
raids for
Yeah.
people from Australia or people before us that are already in the event. And in hindsight, well, duh, that's how different time zones work. But yeah, that didn't even occur to me until after the fact, because um, and after our time frame was over, we were still getting invites to GoFest raids while we were just relaxing afterwards, because people were still in the event in time in time zones after us. So
Yeah.
but also that second day really emphasized why you really, really needed one of the peripherals, a Go Plus, a Gotcha, a Pokeball Plus, because you're raiding basically the entire time. And so, in order to catch anything that's near you during those raids, you've got to have one of those peripherals to be sitting there spinning stops and catching Pokemon for you, or else you're missing out on a ton of possible catches.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. I agree with that. And so that's what we did, right? You came to the house. We were waiting on Barry, fired it up before 10. And I don't know if it's right at 10. It had to be right at 10 or a little after, because I got my first raid invite because we hadn't left the house yet. So I got my first raid invite. I don't remember who invited me. And that's something that bothers me. I scroll down to the bottom of this Pokemon that I caught, and it has a lot of great data. It was caught at a raid, Orlando, Florida, in the United States. Of course, yeah. So I don't know who from Orlando invited me, and that's what.
See, that would be pretty awesome if it told you.
What I'm saying, right?
Yeah, who invited you?
Who invited you? Because it has a location. So it's got remote raid was Orlando. Location was Conyers, where I was. The event is Pokemon Go Fest 2021 Day 2 raid! Exclamation point. And event Go Fest 2021 extravagance. Why can't you add? I know what Dooley noted, because Dooley noted is on the West Coast. I just saw the name here in the chat. Why you say Dooley noted invited you? I mean, come on, throw that in there. But so I'm doing this raid, right? Joe's sitting there, and it's a Ho-Oh, which like, woo, I like Ho-Ohs. We took it down, shiny. First catch of the day is shiny. Then we go.
And what did I tell you right afterwards?
I don't remember what you tell me.
You should have used a pin app.
Because I used the golden raspberry, and I was like, oh, I caught on the first catch, and Joe went, yeah, because the legendary shinies don't run away. So I was like, oh crap, okay, yeah, cool. He's like, you should use the pin app. Then we go to this park a mile from the house because it had 6 gyms that we could easily get to. We stayed in my car. It's kind of rainy out. It was out, and so we all piled into my car, which I drive a Ford C-Max hybrid. So you got Barry, who's 6 feet tall, but he's a stick. You got me, who's 6'7" in a tank. And you got Joe, who is 6'5" in a tank. All put in his car.
5'8".
Yeah, is it 5'8"? I don't know.
You're not 5'8". I'm 5'8".
You're not. You're taller than that.
Nope.
All right, whatever.
And that's with my shoes on. I'm 5'8".
Okay. So anyway, we're doing the raids, and we roll up, and the next raid is we do something I forget, but then the next was a Latias, which I did not have, so we relocated in the parking lot, went to the Latias. Shiny came out of thing shiny. Then we go to find some lunch at some point. Now caught, and actually the shinies were great, and I think they probably are some of my favorite, but I want to say my favorite is the one I think Dennis invited me to, which is, let me scroll down here. I took all the pictures, but I want to try to find it and scroll down. Of course, I got a Virizion, which I needed. And MrTamborine 19, I hope you felt appropriately bad seeing that Rock Out of Podcasting invited you to a whole bunch of Virizion raids that you never came to, sir. I was trying to get you what you said you needed. I know you played. And to his point, he made a point about one Rock God. So somewhere during day 1, I was complaining to Joseph, man, I'm not getting invites and stuff. And he goes, well, maybe it's because you're not showing up alphabetically, because even though you put it online, it doesn't really sort that well. And it's alphabet. So I've made my name One Rock Out of Pod, So that, and sure enough, I'm getting raid invite after raid invite now. So yeah, I got Hidalgo, Rayquaza, Virizion, Groudon. Um, I got some other cool stuff, but Tracheon. Dennis invited me to a number of ones, like Cobalion. I got a number of Cobalion invites, got into one raid because either the room's filled up or the signal was bad or something else happened. And so, but I did get my one Cobalion. I got Zekrom. That's the one I was on the hunt for, Joe, was Zekrom.
Yeah.
Got that. But that
Well, and
Terrakion is really
Reshiram, the Reshiram raids, I don't know. I'm gonna ask the
got
people that are
Reshiram.
here with us, but whenever it came to getting invited to a Reshiram raid, half the time when I tried to go in, the lobby was already completely full. It wasn't like any of the other raids; it was just Reshiram. Was that consistent for everyone else's experience, or is that just me?
Might have been just you.
All right, just me.
Yeah, it's just you, man.
I turned off all notifications because I was getting spammed with them. No raid passes, so.
Yeah, that'll get you. I spent, I think, $20 during the day to refill my raid passes, and they gave us raid passes, and I burned through them. I definitely tried to play with everybody who invited me. I definitely tried to invite a lot of different people. And that was fun. I hadn't used a real raid pass in forever. And going to Coach Kev's point about playing with people, it was cool to have. I told Joe on day one, I'm so glad you came. We're heading into town. We didn't know if anybody was going to show up to come hang out with us. And I was like, man, I'm glad you came, because otherwise I would have just casualed out and like, whatever. I'll play around the house. And it was definitely a better experience to walk around and do it. And then the next day doing the raid stuff, using the regular passes allowed me to invite 5 other people, and Joe invite 5 people, and Barry invite 5 people. Actually, Barry can invite
Barry,
20
yeah,
people
with his 4
phones that he's got going on there.
Well, and that's what's crazy. So you yourself ended up with 4.
Well, what would that tell you yet?
No, just say it. Just say it. Stop
no,
teasing
I did
it.
my way. So I did it with 4. But we go to get lunch, and I take them to a part of Old Town Conyers where I know there's a couple of gyms and the food's good. And it turned out the place I wanted to go, actually all the places really were closed down in Old Town. And so while they were waiting, we all jumped in this Articuno raid while I was going to see if the doors were open or whatever. Shiny Articuno right after that. So then we'd have a mellow mushroom, and Zapdos pops, and Joe and Barry are like, "Oh, why don't you just get a shiny?" I went, "I did." And I had to show it to him to prove it to him that I got another shiny.
Whereas between Barry's 4 phones and mine, between the 5 accounts, I think we had a combined one legendary shiny, and then you had 4. So you beat all 5 of those accounts by yourself.
By myself. And we got a usnatescout popping in here, so let me unmute. Yep. Nate, how's it going?
What's crack-a-lackin'?
Were you the one telling me to get the evolution last week?
The Gotcha Evolve, and you bought it a week too early, because the second you bought it, the Trainer Club announced on Twitter he got one that's going to be more for the hardcore players. They just announced a new one that can connect to 2 phones instead of 1. So, I mean, you'll be fine. You have one, and that's one too many for you. But they just announced it.
There's already one like that on Amazon.
Oh man!
Wow, that's a Barry watch right there.
The
last time we were in Chicago, Joe, we took that picture of Barry's wrist with all the gotchas lined up for the different phones.
We tried to meet up with the Trainer Club 2 or 3 years ago at Dragon Con, and I kept telling him exactly where we were, and there was just some disconnect, I guess. So
you know what? Probably because it's Dragon Con. I know I wasn't going with you to meet up with him because I'm usually really, really busy, and since I can't have the rock god, why bother? I get it. But Nate, we're asking 2 questions tonight. First off, why do you play Pokemon Go Podcast?
I like to play the podcast. It's because when I'm driving, I like to listen to words. To play Pokemon Go itself.
I didn't mean. Sorry, I didn't mean to play Pokemon Go Podcast. I'm not sure you're promoting the show. No, why do you play the game Pokemon Go? My bad. Why do you love me, Nate? Come on, tell me all.
I don't. I'm only here for Joe. You're just a sideshow kind of thing. It's like when you go to the carnival, you want to see all the fairs and the rides, and you only watch the shows in hopes that people just mess up. That's the fun part of watching the show.
That is fair and accurate. I'll give it to you.
Nah, I'm messing with you. But so I play the game. So I did not have a lot of entertainment in my younger life. I lived out in a town in the middle of nowhere, and 10 miles outside of that. So I grew up with two channels of television, and that was on a good day.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so I would play a bunch of like that was right when like the Wii came out and the DS came out because youngin, and so I was playing like Pokemon and Nintendo stuff, and I kind of got into that. And then I got my like first like smartphone around the same time Pogo came out. And then since then I've like found like a huge group with like you guys and a bunch of like friends in school, and so it got me into like regular mainline Pokemon, and it's been an addiction ever since. So I've
Yeah,
been
you say mainline, and yeah, it
yeah.
goes right to
So
addiction.
I've gotten into this, into the collecting game, because
Oh,
I
wow.
have the brain of a collector, and like the Funko Pops came out, and the cards came out, and then this game is solely to collect them all, more than any other anime or thing is, and so that's why I really play Pokemon Go. That and it gave me something to do while I was delivering for work when I was bored out of my mind. So those
Nah,
are
I
the
get
main two
that.
reasons.
So, how was your GoFest experience?
Not bad. Day one was a whole lot better than day two. Uh, I was quote unquote stuck at a beach for a family vacation, but it had like a ton of or not vacation, like dream kind of thing, but I had a ton of Pokestops around because there was like a boardwalk, and so I'd walk up and down, and that was pretty good. Got a bunch of shinies, not as much because I was stuck again on the beach and I couldn't be on my phone the entire time. I think I got like 6 or 8, which is pretty good.
Nice.
Only I was only doing gotcha at that point. I wasn't catching, like just checking every hour to make sure I was still connected. Day two kind of suck, but that's also because my username starts with a U, and so I'm like 50, 60 people down on like high-end players who are playing all day.
Yeah.
And I noticed afterwards that you scoundreled your way through the end and put a 1 in front of your name, and you cheat coded all the way through the end. But I was stuck driving from New Hampshire back to the middle of Maine for the second part of Go Fest, and so I couldn't like really raid or anything. And whenever I would stop somewhere, there wasn't any like Pokemon to catch because it was like a rest stop on the side of a road. There
Sure.
wasn't a ton of things, so I got like maybe I did like 2, maybe 3 raids. I'm not yeah. The only like good thing I really got from any of the raids is I think I did caught well I caught did wow English, let's try that again. So I did 3 raids. I caught 2 of them. One of them ran away. I don't know what it is, but I have the hardest time catching Latios and Latios but blue, because it's the same Pokemon twice. But I have such a hard time catching those. Like I think I maybe have one of each just for the dex, and everything else runs away. And I got a regular Mewtwo and 100% Verizon. So I mean, it wasn't terrible.
Nice.
It wasn't terrible, but I mean, it wasn't the greatest. I wish I could have done like a whole lot more raids. I was planning on doing like 20 or 30 and dropping a ton of cash just so I could do a bunch, and I ended up getting 3. And I mean, it wasn't bad for $5. It was definitely worth it.
Yeah, I agree. Especially I came out with 4 shiny legendaries. It was good for me. Now something.
Wait, hold on, back up. How does the man who raids for maybe 20 minutes a year end up with 4?
I'm Cheeky Nashville, and I know how to save my luck. No, that it was Joe. Joe was visibly upset half the day.
I was not. You lie.
He cried a little. It's okay. I deleted most of the photos. But something I did we all kind of discovered, it sounded like it was new to Barry and new to Joe, so maybe it's new to other people, is we were sitting in, like I said, we were sitting in a parking lot somewhere, and we were, there's a raid. Oh, it was at lunch. We're sitting at lunch, and there's a raid down the street that we could see. And so we could all get into it using remote raid passes. What we discovered that some people may or may not know, because I sure didn't, is even when you're local and using a remote raid pass, you can still invite people. So even though we used a remote raid pass and not a regular raid pass, we were able to invite friends, and that was cool. So if you didn't know that, now you know.
I
Joe?
think it's just because you're hosting in general. I think they made that change back when everyone
Oh,
first
okay.
complained. So as long as you're hosting, you can invite up to 5. But
It's,
if
it's
you
when
get
you're getting
invited, you
invited, you
can't. It's a
can't
weird
invite.
thing.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. Um, Joe, is about that time though, sir.
It certainly is. We're gonna have to skip random trivia. We're gonna have to skip a lot of stuff. So we do have some show notes. So if you want to take a look at that, you can go over to our Reddit. That's reddit.com/r/Pokemon Go Podcast. But to be honest, our show notes are for this week. I knew that really weren't going to get to
Yeah.
them, and so they are just posts from Niantic talking about some of the statistics of Pokemon Go. Also, the Ultra unlocks. So just in case you forgot, after Go Fest, there's always unlocks that we get. So there's some unlocks that they have given us information for. They haven't given us the information for all of the unlocks. Basically, they haven't told us, hey, this is the unlock that's giving you Hoopa. And so we're waiting on that. And
There's
then,
unlock 3, you know it is.
yeah. And then again,
Who's in that load art now?
well, and his he was in the load art. His rings are popping up in the game if you look at the sky, and stuff like that. And then, like Dennis mentioned, we are getting EV Community Day. That's going to be August 13th through Monday 16th. Monday the 16th. So we're not just getting Community Day, we're getting Community Weekend.
For a dumb dog.
Well, it's more like a fox, but yeah.
I'd rather listen to 24 Hours of Nickelback. I'm just saying.
MrTamborine, groan.
Yeah.
So there's that. You can either check out our show notes, check out PokemonGoLive.com, or just look in game at the news to see the information there. So,
Yeah. I'll advise everybody take my up, down, left, right, BA start hack and just put one in front of your name, and then you'll get more invites. It really did. It really did work out.
Did you just Google the Konami code just for that joke?
No, man, are you kidding me? That's the one thing I cannot tell you my original address growing up, or phone number, or most of my teachers' names. But that code, I knew that code. I was gonna say left and right, but that's just a dumb pun I wasn't even trying to make. You normally run down our where you can find this stuff, but instead of doing that tonight, I will say, all the voices that you hear on the show are patrons, and we do love our patrons. Patreon.com/Pokemon Go Podcast. And I want to say a big shout out, and I'm actually risking losing this Mewtwo raid to Coach Kev, duly noted, MrTamborine 19, Popeye 705, Civilian Base, usnatescout, and OwensThePrince, who had to leave a little bit early, who's so dedicated that he set an alarm to wake up at 1 a.m. his time to be on with us. And of course, everybody that's here live in the chat room. Thank you. But especially you guys, coming out, sharing your experience. And Coach Kevin will call you out specifically, just the story you told there and the heart that you hit there. That's beautiful. And honestly, it probably will have an effect on the show going forward. And definitely will have some, our live events will be asking people why they play. So that is very cool.
That's good. Thank you.
Joe, where can they find you on the web?
You can find me on Twitter at Joseph_Ard. And if you wanted to tell us why you play, head on over to PokemonGoPodcast.com and leave us a speak pipe. Let us know why you play the game and what makes it so amazing to you. And where can they find you, Charles?
I hate you so much, Joe. Bobby Rock got a podcasting across social media, Charles McFall across social media. Just wrapped up the major, heaviest part of planning the digital media track on Dragon Con. We still definitely have some things to do, but we're under 45 days, I think. That's our Dragon Con. So that's coming up. Atlanta Comic Con's coming up mid-August, early August. Southern Fried Gaming Expo is coming up before Dragon Con. So August is going to be busy for me. Yeah, it's all good stuff. Tune in next week to hear any of our fine listeners say,
this is why I play the game, because it's amazing.
And one last time, everybody say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.